You've been thinking about moving to the Dallas, Texas area, but now you're seeing all kinds of headlines about the Dallas real estate market. They're saying home prices are crashing, interest rates are rising, and you're wondering if it's still a good time to buy in Dallas? Well, that's what we're talking about today, so stay tuned.
The sudden jump in interest rates mid-2022 caused many potential homebuyers to jump ship in the housing market in Dallas since they could no longer afford the house that they really wanted. How much higher will interest rates rise? And will this shift in the housing market cause home prices to crash? These were the main questions people began to ask. The end of 2022 saw an uptick in the number of closings because of the lowering and stabilizing interest rates. But at the beginning of 2023, people were still reading headlines like, "Will Dallas-Fort Worth's resilient housing market crash in 2023?" Homeownership remains uncertain for many hopeful buyers in North Texas. The Dallas Fed says U.S. home prices could plunge another 20%. Should I bite the bullet now or wait for the bottom to buy a house? Dallas Fed, housing market is only passing through a modest correction, but a tighter than expected monetary policy could trigger a more severe drop. Let me share something with you that most of you probably already know, but I'll say it anyway. The media breeds on negative news and anything that promotes fear and uncertainty. And when people are uncertain, they don't have the clarity and the peace to move forward. Bret and I are going to give you factual information instead of scary news snippets. We're going to show you if people are actually still moving to Dallas, and if so, why are they moving here, and what's happening with home prices and interest rates. And we'll wrap it all up with our thoughts on if it's still a good time to buy a home in Dallas.
Are people still moving to the Dallas area? Yes, for sure. The Dallas-Fort Worth metro area has grown by 170,000 people in just a short span of time between July of 2021 and July of 2022. That's about 466 people moving here every day, which far outpaced our norm of 300 people per day. Using U.S. Census data, LawnStarter compiled a list of the top 15 cities that are sending most residents to the area. Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Oklahoma City, Washington, D.C., Phoenix, and San Diego were some of the biggest cities on that list. Dallas-Fort Worth is the fastest growing metro area in the U.S., and it is not stopping anytime soon. It has been forecasted the Metroplex could grow our current population of 7.8 million by another 3.4 million by the year of 2045. And one company suggests that the Dallas-Fort Worth Metro will grow by almost 9% just over the next 5 years. Dallas has and will continue to rank in the top 10 fastest growing metro areas for as long as we can see. But how much more can Dallas-Fort Worth area take as far as the growth? According to Yardi Systems, Dallas leads the U.S. in the most vacant land available for future projects, with close to 91,000 acres across more than 30,000 parcels of land. That's an average almost 3 acres per parcel. So there's definitely a lot more room for growth among all 200 plus cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro.
So why are all these people moving to the Dallas area? There are many reasons, including our strong and diverse economy, lower cost of living, which includes home prices, the quality of living, which includes freedoms that most of us experience living in the Lone Star State. Let's dive into the Dallas area economy. Since 2010, more than 150 corporate headquarters have moved to Dallas-Fort Worth. The ease of doing business in the Dallas area has drawn 5 Fortune 500 companies over the last 5 years. And you may be surprised to learn that DFW actually has become a hot spot for high-tech companies. In the last 5 years, Dallas added more tech jobs than any other well-known tech hubs in the U.S. The Dallas area has become the fastest-growing non-coastal tech job center in the U.S. according to Cushman & Wakefield. And Site Selector magazine ranks DFW as the second most competitive food and beverage industry market in North America. The sectors that make up the food and beverage industry employ more than 420,000 workers, and they're supposed to add 40,000 more additional jobs through the year 2025. According to the Star Telegram, compared to other major cities in Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metro has the greatest industry diversity. Job sector diversity is what helps the DFW economy maintain its strength and thrive during declines in certain industries. So even while some economists have predicted a looming recession, DFW is positioned to hold strong and to recover quicker because of consistent job growth, the wide range of employment industries, and the proven track record of resiliency in previous economic declines. During previous downturns, the Dallas-Fort Worth area recovered even faster than major cities like New York, Austin, and Houston. Now, Bret and I remember the Great Recession from 2008-2009. Even though it was tough and a lot of people in DFW definitely were affected by it, we didn't get hit nearly as bad as other areas of the U.S. And we pulled out of it much faster than other cities as well. That is definitely a benefit to living in the DFW area.
A lot of people move to the Dallas-Fort Worth area because of lower cost of living, despite what some of the locals may say. Some people that have been born and raised in the Dallas area would say that it's pretty expensive to live in certain parts of Dallas. Rent Cafe shows that the cost of living in DFW is 11% higher than other places or parts of the state of Texas. But compared to other states across the U.S. like California, Washington State, and New York, the cost of living in DFW is a welcome change. We pull a few of the numbers to show you some comparisons. According to payscale.com, the cost of living is 32% lower in the Dallas area than Los Angeles, and housing is 60% lower. The comparison is very similar in Seattle, with the cost of living being 32% lower and housing 54% lower in Dallas. The numbers are more significant from New York to Dallas, with the cost of living being 55% lower and the housing at 80% lower. With that being said, you're definitely getting more house for your money in the Dallas area compared to many other metro areas around the U.S. But it will depend on what area you choose to live in. You can find a house as low as $135,000 out in Runaway Bay or a Dallas Preston Hollow estate for $15 million. The location will always affect home prices greatly, no matter where you live. The median home sales price in DFW is currently around $400,000. But the good news is that with around 200 suburbs of Dallas, most people can find a place that will fit their budget and their desired lifestyle.
I'd like to touch on the quality of living that the DFW area is known for. This is one of the biggest reasons most, if not all, people move here. I know that people that we've helped relocate to the Dallas area from places like California and Washington State have been so thankful to have the quality of living that they didn't have in the places that they moved from. Unfortunately, the stories we tend to hear over and over from our clients have been pertaining to how the place they grew up or lived in for many years had changed. It was no longer safe, clean, productive, healthy, fill in the blank. And one of the biggest themes we hear is pertaining to their freedoms. Now, I'm certainly not saying that everything is perfect here in the Dallas area. We still have some issues to overcome for sure. But for the most part, people living here experience the lifestyle that they want to live in and for their children to grow up in. We still have clients text, call, email us a year later and tell us how happy they are to have moved here. And unfortunately, some of these people left their families and friends and loved ones behind just to experience the quality of living they no longer had at their previous homes. And the good news is that we're seeing a lot of family members make that move as well so they can be together. We've helped young families move here, and then a few months later, here come the grandparents. And the opposite as well. Just a few months ago, we helped a retired military couple move here, and now we're helping one of their sons and his wife make the move as well. You know, for those of us who grew up around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, this quality of life is all that we've ever known. I grew up in a small town just outside of the DFW metro, so Texas is all that I know, and I'm totally okay with that. Bret grew up in a small community north of Dallas, but he spent about 7 years in Colorado because of his dad's job before returning to their home here. And now that we see so many others fleeing their home state to experience what we have, I think we realize how important it is to protect it and maintain our valued quality of life and our freedoms.
Now that we've talked about how many people are still moving to the Dallas-Fort Worth area and the reasons why they're moving here, including our strong and diverse economy, cost of living, quality of living, let's turn our attention to how current home prices are affecting homebuyers. As we shared in recent real estate market updates, the last couple of years in the real estate market has been anything but normal. We refer to the last 2 years, meaning 2021 and 2022, as the unicorn years of the housing market. In case if you're not familiar with the term unicorn, it means something is highly desirable but difficult to find or obtain. So when the media or anyone else compares the 2023 real estate market with the last year to 2 years, it's really an unfair comparison. And I would even consider 2020 as an unfair comparison as well, since that was when the year of the pandemic hit. 2019 is actually our last normal real estate market. Let me show you a few graphs to prove the comparison of 2022 and 2021 aren't fair. Now let's look at the percent of home appreciation. At the national level, appreciation has dropped considerably when you compare it to the previous 2 years. But if you look back again at 2019, it appears that we're at a normal level of appreciation. The Dallas real estate market has been going through a correction back to a normal market, not a crash. But when I say a more normal market, I'm mostly talking about home appreciation. We won't see home prices go back to 2019 prices, but we will see home appreciation go back to around 4 to 5% per year instead of the 20% per year. As you can see by this graph, the median home prices for the main 4 counties in the DFW area are still trending upwards. This graph shows home prices over the last 5.5 years. I'll show you a graph of home prices over the last decade to give you more data. According to NoradaRealEstate.com, Dallas area home prices are forecasted to increase by 1.2% at the end of September of 2023 and by 5.1% by the end of June of 2024. If you're waiting for home prices to fall drastically in the Dallas area before you buy, you may wind up getting priced out of the market.
So what about interest rates? We had unprecedented rates below 4% from mid-2019 until around March of 2022 when the increase began. We saw rates peak at around 7% in November, then start dropping. As you can see by this historical graph, we haven't seen interest rates at 7% since 2002. Just to give you some perspective, we had interest rates of around 18.63% back in 1981. Yes, home prices were much lower back then, but it was still a huge struggle for home buyers. As we began 2023, we saw things really pick up again. Rates had stabilized a little and were staying around 6.5%, and home buyers started realizing they couldn't put off making a move in the hopes that rates would come down, so they re-entered the real estate market to buy. That demand for housing saw home prices increasing again, and as the spring and summer markets heated up, we started seeing multiple offers again. Now, not as crazy as it was back in 2021 and 2022, but some homes are definitely going above asking price again. All those people we told you about earlier that are moving to the DFW area, well, they need homes. Because inflation has been trending down, experts are predicting that interest rates should be trending down as well. Some are calling for around 6.6%, but others are predicting as low as 5.25%. We created this graph to show you the average of what they are all predicting, which would be around 5.89%. But here's the deal. There's no promise that rates will go down. But the demand for housing has shown strong, which means it isn't likely that home prices are going to go down. The number of available homes for sale is still lower than the demand. We still actually have a home shortage, which in turn will continue to make home prices increase, as Bret talked about earlier. The people that choose to buy a home in Dallas now are locking into current home pricing and current interest rates, knowing that if they live in that house long enough, history shows that the price will increase. And should interest rates go up, they got a great rate. And if interest rates go down, they could always refinance for a better rate if it makes financial sense with the amount of time they'll be living in their house.
So is it still a good time to buy in Dallas, Texas? Well, as you can see by all the information we've given you, we would say yes, it is. As we said earlier, the demand for housing doesn't appear to be letting down anytime soon, which will in turn continue to increase home pricing. The economy is continuing to look strong, so the future looks bright for buying in the Dallas area.
If you want to buy a home in Dallas, you can give us a call or fill out our VIP buyer experience form below. Or you can stick around and watch our next video on all about living in the best Dallas suburbs.